So here we are. We're back again. And today I have the lovely, the beautiful, the talented, the incredibly intelligent Jen
Oh, well,
Esker. Doc
thank
Jen
you.
Fit on Instagram. How's that going? You're pretty big on Instagram now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been good.
Hmm.
It really, I mean, in all blunt honesty, it's like it's hard to
Hmm.
maintain and be as
A lot of
creative
work.
all the time. It is a lot of work. I know even just talking to like Jay Shetty, he's so structured with the way that he releases content. It's like he will write it all down
Hmm.
for like a month and spend time just scripting and creating, and then spend a month just creating the content. So he really
Wow.
structures it out in a way of being able to use his brain at full capacity in one sense and then in the other sense, so that he doesn't get burnt out from like creating, because yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I noticed that a little bit myself, but man, I guess if you want to climb, you got to grind. You know what I mean?
You do. And it's like, I mean, this is the whole reason I've started it and I've continued it, is because the more content that I put out, the more value that people receive. That's really like everything that they're getting. And so why would I stop? Why would I not want to continue to put value out that people are going to get like real results within their bodies? So
Sure.
that's what really
So
motivates me.
let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have a what degree do you have? I know you're a physical therapist.
Well, my name is Doc Jen Fit. So
So you have your
I'm a
doctorate.
doctor.
You're
Yeah.
legitimate out here. You're
Yes.
not one of these Instagram girls just doing splits and stuff. You're like really legit. And you
Yes.
know what you're talking about.
I
And
hope so.
you've worked with all different types of athletes. And
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I mean, I think back in the day when you and I were shooting content,
Mhm.
I was still in school, I
Oh
think.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When was
I
this?
was,
This was like what, like 2014, 15,
Yeah.
something like that?
yeah. Because I graduated 2015.
Okay.
And so my Instagram started to grow just through fitness. I remember I was just starting to post my fitness journey. I got in contact with the calisthenic guys and started meeting up with them. And then he started posting me, and he had a huge following at the time for calisthenics. And so I started to grow in like this journey in calisthenics and like competing, because I was in grad school and this was like a fun little hobby that I found, and I can still be active in my body and learn new skills. So I just started to post that journey. And so I was posting all fitness type stuff. And I remember when you and I were shooting, it was like all fitness type stuff
Yep.
that we were shooting.
Mhm.
And remember we were like, how creative and weird can we get with exercises?
Yeah.
Because that was like the cool stuff to post on Instagram.
Yeah, it's funny because we had that like between us, that
Yeah.
kind of connection where we don't really like the
Yeah.
fact that you have to kind of, entertain to train.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
But at the same time, we were both trying to grow, and
Yes.
you gotta go along to get along,
Right. Right.
And but there are levels to this shit. You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's certain things I'm not willing to do.
Yeah.
Just as far as training goes, like that's something I really admire about you. You maintain your integrity in everything that you do. Even when like I'm talking about, you talk somebody else, like, oh yeah, you got to check this person out. Or, I was telling who I'm going to have as a guest on my podcast, like I always feel the need to be like, no, yeah, she's got like a huge following, but she's legit. Like, she's real. Like you're like a real physical
Thank you.
therapist, you're a real doctor. It's true, because
Thank you.
that comes few and far between, I think, nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's something really valuable.
Thank you.
And,
I appreciate that.
I just want to talk a little bit more about that. I want
Yeah.
to, because even for myself, I don't ever think I truly asked, like, did you work with Exos? I know you know some of the same people that I
Yeah.
know. So like, how was your path? How did you ascend to Doc Jen Fit that you are now?
Well, I really just gave myself that name.
Okay.
I think also when I met you, my Instagram was Jen_ES_care, because that's how you said my name, Jen
Okay.
S. Care. And then once I graduated, I was like, people know that I can do cool things with my body and I'm fitness and whatever, but they don't know that I even went to school. No one knows I'm a physical therapist, and I have more knowledge than just like, look at these cool things I can do with my
Exactly.
body. So that's when I sat down, and Lewis and I actually went over like, what are some different things that I can really change my name to get it out there in a sense of people start to know who I am and what I actually do. And so that's when I changed my name to Doc Jen Fit. It was still within like the fitness community, so it's still like fit in with that, but also Doc because I was hoping people would catch on to the fact that I'm a doctor. Some
Sure.
people still don't, like Doc
Like me,
Dunfit.
you mean, like me, like
Yeah,
me.
still
what
didn't
is this,
understand
Doc
why I
Dunfit?
put Doc at the front. You know, I just wanted to give people the opportunity to get to know me on a different level. And that's also when, once I graduated, I actually met up with Vinny Rehab, and him and I were like just going over things. And he was like, you know what? Start posting like he was at the time, which was all educational based, because I was saying how I'm getting burnt out with Instagram. I don't want to just post fitness things. I want people to know that I have more to give and I understand more about the body than just this cool fitness stuff that I do. And so he was like, well, then start posting about that. And he kind of helped me set up the structure, which was awesome. And so I was like, well, I don't know how people are going to respond to this, but I'll give it a shot. And the moment that I did it, I got way more views than I ever have on just a regular fitness video. And I got way more traction. And not that I was trying to grow just for people like coming to me, but it actually made me feel absolutely amazing that people wanted to learn. Because what I thought was so basic, I was like, I just graduated. Who am I to put this stuff out there? Mm-hmm. I have a lot of PTs and chiropractors and other people I respect in the space. Like, what if I'm putting out something and they're like, this is wrong? And, you know, all these things that are going in my head of like, if I post this, like, will I get backlash? Is this dumb? For me, this seems basic. But realizing as well, like, a lot of people don't know this stuff. And I know, I mean, come on, I went to school for like freaking forever. Mm-hmm. I know some stuff, you know, so
a thing or two.
Yeah, a thing or two. So just being able to start to put that forth, even though I think it's basic, a lot of people don't know. And so I started to do that. And the more that I started to do that, the more that it was getting traction. And the more that I realized people want to learn. Like, people actually want this value.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so it felt so good to me. Like, not only was I growing more, but I was growing more because people actually wanted some value out of it. And so I just continued to really dive into that. Like, okay, how can I give more? How can I give more? How can I continue to teach in this capacity, in this space, in this way? And I started to play around with it, and it's just, you know, kind of become what it has. And then I realized as well throughout my journey, like, so I did work at a physical therapy clinic right out of grad school in Santa Monica. I like made sure I needed a mentor. I needed to be in a space that I really liked and felt like it wasn't constant turnover. So it was 2 clients an hour rather than 4 to 5, which is most clinics are 4 to 5 clients an hour.
That's a lot.
Super high turnover. So it's just like client after client after client, but you're still taught, like in physical therapy school, if you get a client and they're kind of telling you a story and then it goes into this huge long story about their pain, like, draw them back, cut off the story, and get them back to exactly where the pain point is so that you can just evaluate that pain point and take the measurements needed for that, like shoulder pain or back pain or whatever it is. But don't listen to their whole story. Don't look at them as a whole person. Only evaluate that spot. And there was all these things that I just don't agree with. And so that's also why I went to a clinic where it wasn't as high of turnover, because I wanted to actually be able to feel like I was in relationship with people that were coming to see me. And I did want mentorship. Like, unfortunately, you graduate physical therapy school and you're still like, okay, now how do I really help someone? I know how to not kill someone.
Yeah, that's another thing. I kind of find that similar kind of challenge in training where, you know, the more you know that you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so when you really feel like you love what you do. I love what I do. You really want to help people. And so you get into those situations that you're kind of talking about, it seems, where you feel like, I hope I'm really helping. I want to have the most impact possible. And then, you know, the more, like I said, the more you know. So then, because I've been to physical therapists, I've been to doctors where they know what they're talking about, but you always come across a unique situation, a client, a patient, somebody who has something that just your technique that you just were taught in school is not really solving. Yeah. You know, and so you have to be able to think outside the box
and continue learning.
Exactly.
Everything we do, we have to continue learning, or else you're just stagnant. I mean, if you think you know all the answers, believe me, you don't. Like, science continues to change. And so we can advise and demonstrate like what is new, what is coming, what is happening in the space that we're in. But like, I don't think you can say anything is truth, because we don't know. We don't know.
Sure.
It's always changing, but that's also why we keep learning.
People don't like that answer.
Yeah, I know.
They don't want to hear I don't know or we don't know. I think we do have a little bit of responsibility. I mean, obviously we're in different fields, but similar. We're in health, you know, and so as whether it's nutrition or training the body or obviously physical therapy, you want to give a better. I think we have a responsibility to give a better answer than I don't know, even though that's the true answer. The true answer is I don't know, but we could say it in a better way.
Yeah.
Because when people hear I don't know, I know they're like, oh, see, science doesn't really matter. They don't even really know. You know, that's kind of their answer.
Well, I think, you know, all we can do is guide into what we do know in that moment, and then continue to, as you work with the patient or as you work with the client, you continue to dive in. Okay, well, that was going well. This wasn't as much. So then we take a U-turn here and then we turn here. And they don't have to, like, clients and patients don't necessarily have to know that whole journey that's going on in your head, as long as you're addressing what you do see and what you do know in that moment. And I think that's okay. And that gives them the confidence. And also, especially as a physical therapist, like I've heard so much of people like other PTs or chiropractors who are like, well, they stopped doing the exercises that I gave them, so that's on them. And they had to come back and like all this stuff. And it's like, well, actually, I'm going to turn that around and I'm going to say that's on you. Because if a client or a patient doesn't feel why it's important, why it's necessary for them to maintain within their body, why the hell are they going to continue? There's no way. So then that's on you, actually, because you didn't explain it. You didn't get into their body. They didn't feel the why. No one does anything or continues with anything unless we understand why it's important for us.
Exactly. I love the passion when you talk.
100%.
I love it. I love it. It's like, she's like, you, it's on you, Graham. But no, you're right. I was just talking about that with my mentor, actually, Roy Holmes, Coach Holmes, about that. About how the coach themselves has to be the one that not motivating necessarily as, you know, like rah motivating, but conveying the importance and the message to the client, to the patient. And sometimes it's different ways. Sometimes it's in a way that's not drilling the need of it down their throat. Sometimes it's by pulling back and letting them just feel more comfortable that they're succeeding, even if they're not succeeding in the way that they wanted to at that moment.
100%.
And that allows them to have like the intrinsic motivation they need to do the daily small tasks that are actually what's responsible for their ultimate health, you know?
And I think like all of that, for what you're saying, all of that comes down to connection. So however that is that you're going to connect with a client or a patient, that is what you have to get with that other person, or else they're not going to feel it. They're not going to understand it. And like everything in life is connection. If we don't feel connected to that thing, to that person, to that reason, we're not going to continue it. And a good thing that like really taught me and honed in on this message of how I was going to treat clients and patients was when I was in grad school at the time and I had contacts, and contacts started to hate my eyes because I had them for like ever. And so I was in school and all of a sudden I would get like red eyes all the time, and people would be like, why are your eyes so red? And I'd be like, I swear I'm not smoking. And I couldn't feel it, but my eyes were like getting really red, and it was from my contacts and I didn't know why. And I went and then I started putting Clear Eyes in because I was like, here's the solution. I just put Clear Eyes in all the time. And I went to one eye doctor and he was like,
getting paid by Clear Eyes right now? Is that what's going on?
Right? No, actually you should not do that. I learned why you shouldn't after, but that was my solution at the time. And I went to one eye doctor and he was like, oh, Clear Eyes won't work. Use this tiny little ass bottle that costs like $50 with insurance and take a drop a day. And so I tried it for a little bit and I wasn't seeing results. So I was like, okay, no. He didn't tell me why. He didn't tell me he didn't tell me anything. And so I didn't find the importance of it and I stopped taking it. And then my eyes got a little worse. And when I moved to New York, it was like I had like my eyes were like just crying. It was like leaking all the time and it was just a mess. So then I went to this other eye doctor when I got back. And he actually showed me pictures of like what was going on with my eye, and I was forming cysts, and that was what was like rubbing on my eye and making it red, and why Clear Eyes doesn't work and what it's actually doing and why this little bottle works. And I started like crying in his office, not because I was upset, but because I actually understood what the hell was happening with my eyes, why it would be important to take a step back from contacts and only wear glasses, why it was important to start to take this little tiny bottle and worth the money that I was paying for that as a grad student. I'm making no money. And and why that would actually be good in my eyes, and it actually helped. Now I have laser eye surgery, highly recommended.
Holla.
That was like my one big purchase when I graduated school. I was like, I'm getting laser eye.
Yeah, that's circled on your Judge Kavanaugh calendar.
Yeah,
laser eye surgery.
But anyways, like what that taught me from having that experience was how important it was for the patient and the client to actually understand why something is needed within their body. And because once they feel it, once they understand it, once it's connected, they're going to continue with that program.
So attaching the emotional investment, basically.
Yeah.
To
the understanding, like, what is their goal and what would make them feel like they're actually going to get there from what you're doing, And also for me, it was like understanding, like, especially with pain. I'm getting so many patients that have pain. Obviously, it's physical therapy. So if I can manipulate that, whether it's movement or whether it's even just breath, like I've had so many clients who come in, and especially now that I'm treating on my own, so I have left the clinic and I treat on my own and I treat the way I want to be treating, no ultrasounds, no electrical stimulation, no nothing that I think is fluff and going to be placebo, but actually things that are going to get you back into your body. And I take the time to really listen to my clients as well and open up that space to allow them to talk and feel and be connected to their story and their pain and what's happening.
As opposed to what you were taught.
Exactly. And I have so many clients who now come in with chronic pain. They've been to chiropractors, physical therapists, acupuncturists, like everything. And they're like, I can't get rid of this pain. And I allow them to connect back to that and where that's actually coming from, whatever story that's coming from. And we go through breathing. And we, as my friend Jill says, Jill Miller from Yoga Tune-Up, love her. She says, you're going to turn on your off switch, meaning that you're going to turn on your parasympathetic, your rest, relax, and get out of that sympathetic, high stressful state. Because think about it, when you're in pain, you're like locking your body up. Why am I in pain? Why am I in pain? I shouldn't have pain. And you start to like close up and you start to lock everything up. So of course you're going to continue to be in more pain.
Sure.
We're not allowing ourselves to just like fucking feel it and have that be okay. And so
like live in it.
Yeah. And like, just know that your body's talking to you. Something's happening. Okay. That could be emotional. That could be physical, but it could, if it's lasted more than a year, it's probably a little bit emotional as well.
And that's a good point. Like emotional, either why it was in the first place, or even if it wasn't like an emotional thing, having that pain for so long adds emotional baggage basically to the injury.
Yeah.
Right?
For whatever's happening in life, like your body's real good at healing itself. Real good at healing itself. And no one is fixing you. We're all facilitating the journey.
You're fixing yourself. Absolutely.
You 100% are fixing yourself. So stop going to the person who's going to tell you you're being fit. They're going to fix you. Like
a magic technique or
no, unless you're getting some emergency surgery that is literally going to fix you. Like, some of these things actually help.
Sure. There's definitely instances when that's important.
Yeah. But there's no magic pill. Pills are mostly covering up the symptom. And there's no magic diet. There's no magic weight loss plan. There's no magic anything. The magic comes from you being able to be in relationship with you, in relationship with yourself, in relationship with whatever is happening, and go into that journey and allow yourself into that journey. And so when I actually get people back into that breathing pattern and back into compassion, is what I say, for yourself, and allowing yourself to be in that rest and relax, I've had people start crying on my table.
Wow.
And they're just like, oh my God, I don't feel pain. And I'm like, yeah. And I guarantee it's not from me like gently massaging your leg right now that's all of a sudden releasing your back pain. That's not what's doing. It's allowing you to actually get back into this state of just like relaxed and allowing your body to not be so tense and allowing your body to not be so like locked up. And this is the thing that I like to go back to all the time is allowing people to get back into their body and have a relationship with their body and connect. And find out wherever that story is coming from. And like, it is easier for me to get there with women, I must say, than with men.
Why do you think that is?
Personally, being a woman, I think I can relate on some levels as to like the stress and the pressure and everything that you're holding on to. So I think on that level. And then I think on the level of conditioning, just from the society we've been grown up in, is that as a man, you're not going to really show emotion. You're not going to really dive in there. You're not going to really assess those things. Like, no, everything's fine. Like stress, whatever, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And
men seem much more likely to like fight it and tough it out type of thing, or not want to open and talk about it or go find the root of the problem.
Exactly.
I'm sure I'm guilty of that sometimes.
So I don't have men crying on my table. Unfortunately, I would love to have men just like.
We got to get you to make some men cry out.
I know.
That's my goal for you.
And not from like hurting them from physical pain.
Like a happy cry.
No, just kidding.
Oh, don't break anybody. Don't break anybody. Would you say that the breathing or the getting back into your body kind of thing, would you say that's kind of like your motto, or do you have like a motto or something that, like you're talking about your whole belief system?
Yeah.
But how would you kind of categorize that or articulate that in like a concise way that's like, this is what Jen kind of believes? I know that's tough to do because when you think how we do, you can't really pigeonhole yourself like that. But if there was a way, what would you say it is?
For me, I like to say like, okay, so everyone knows me as mobility, which is great. And that's fine. That's my tool. That's my underlying mechanism of how you can start to get like familiar with your body. But underlying it all, what I call it the body conversation.
The body conversation. Okay.
And it's this whole idea of.
Sounds like a book. You writing a book anytime soon?
Maybe.
Ideas.
So it's this idea of the external conversation, internal conversation, and the listening aspect. So externally, we take on a lot of conversations that people tell us that aren't necessarily truth. And one of like a big broad way of looking at it is even just coming from genetics of like, well, you're predisposed for this, you're predisposed for that, your family has this, and like getting all this family history just like pushed into us and told this is what you have to look forward to, basically, which is like, yes, genetics plays a role, but it's not everything. And we have the ability to manipulate it if we actually choose to manipulate our environment. Because studies are starting to show more and more we can change the function of our genes.
Absolutely. I was watching I don't think he did a TED Talk, but I was watching a presentation by a guy named Bruce Lipton. And he was talking about, he wrote a book called Biology of Belief, and it's all about that. And he's like, he basically is one of the champions of that whole ideology or the understanding that. And I love people like that, like yourself. Like I try to be that way as well. Like this guy, anybody who is not afraid in their own lane to go against the grain a little bit, because that's always where the growth is, Yeah. And he's always talking about how the genes themselves, it's all about the environment. But we tend to think of environment as only external.
Right.
And you don't realize that, everything from nutrients to, chemicals in your body, that's your internal environment.
Yes.
And
that's everything.
Everything from a thought to food to activity will release some sort of chemical or change some sort of consistency or whatever it is inside your body that's now changing your environment, which will then, retrospectively go back and change everything else, whether it's your state or your genes. You can turn on or turn off a gene, like, for example, smoking, right? Everybody has the cancer gene. So how does it become malignant? And these chemicals, these things that are coming from the smoking, and they're basically changing the internal environment, and that allows these things to kind of manifest. Yeah. This kind of the message that comes across. Yeah. I find that so interesting.
Oh my God, it is. And it's like, I mean, chemicals, not just from smoking, but our freaking food. Oh, wow. Our food, and we're not realizing it, And I was just talking to a doctor the other day, and she was talking about how, well, it's no wonder, like, she's been treating since 1980, and she doesn't treat with any medication, basically. I mean, she might.
Unless it's
really absolutely necessary, but like she, for the most part, doesn't. And I'm like, I freaking love you that you've been in this medical community where big pharma is like a huge thing and they get paid a lot of money. So it's hard to say like, I'm going to go against the grain as a medical doctor and not make a whole bunch of money from the pharmaceuticals, but I'm actually going to take my patients into what I think could be really beneficial in their body, which is actual health and changing their environment. of like just the foods that they're eating and everything. So it's super awesome. And so if we can actually start to change that external conversation and not put it on us. I mean, and that goes beyond, right? That goes to anything, like someone telling you can't do something, or I hate when I've gotten patients who like come from their doctor's office and they're like, well, they said I would never be able to run again. They said I will never be able to do this again. And I'm like, no, like don't tell your patient, your client, you're never going to be able to do something you don't know. Like things have shifted, things have changed.
Sure.
People have been told all the time you can't have babies, and all of a sudden they have babies. And like our bodies are amazing and we're still learning so much. So to tell someone you can't do something is absolutely ridiculous. So we have the opportunity to change those external conversations and not allow them in. So that's the first part. Then internal conversation. So that's on us. What are the conversations that we're actually feeding ourselves and telling our bodies that actually gets to change the game? Because your brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between, you know, when you're saying I have this, or I feel this, or I am this. Like your body is going to take that in, and it will go into protective mode if it feels like it needs to. So when you keep tearing yourself down, saying what you're afraid of, saying what is not happening, saying what is not good, your body is going to internalize that and go into protective mode. So especially when we have a moment of pain is just your alarm system. You have to feel pain. It is not something that's bad. Because it actually, when you get people who have diabetes and they get neuropathy, a lot of them get their feet chopped off. Because if they step on anything and they can't feel that could be really detrimental. They can start, to lose toes and to get gangrene and to get all these other things that happen. So a lot of times they just chop off the feet because you can't feel it. So pain is actually something we get to appreciate within our body and not run from, and realize everyone gets pain. It is a normal occurrence that happens, and it's not something to be afraid of. So I think that's like step one, is being compassionate with that, that system that's going to happen, and just having the awareness that like, okay, hey, I get to say, oh, hey, pain, I see you. Let's see where you could be coming from. Could it be something that's mechanical and movement in the body, or could it be emotional? Like even when I have this right shoulder blade thing that pops up every once in a while, and it's really only prevalent when I'm super stressed. And
it's interesting.
For example, I got in a car accident one time and everyone was fine, all good.
Was it your fault or not?
It was my fault.
It was your fault. Truth, let it out. It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
But the moment that I hit her, I felt my shoulder blade like flare up. And I was like, oh, hey. And it was actually like a cool moment for me, because I know that I was in a moment of stress.
It was a cool moment.
It was a cool moment for like me to feel that pain, because I know that it was a moment of stress. And the moment that I addressed it and I was like, okay, hey, I see you. I know, like I'm in a stressful state, and I was able to calm down, went away.
Speaking of the pain and all of that, let me ask you, what is your take, or what are your thoughts on, medicinal marijuana for pain or for anything like that? Are you a proponent of that? Do you feel like that's another masking tool that's not really addressing the thing? How do you feel about it?
I think it depends.
That's the answer.
The famous answer, right? It depends. If you have like severe joint issues, rheumatoid arthritis, if you have fibromyalgia and you're really not getting down to the root of it, and that is something that can help you as you're starting to get down to the root of it, I think it could be helpful.
Great answer.
Like we don't want to have to be stuck in pain. I get it. It's not a comfortable thing. So if you have something that can help you address symptoms as you're still going along the journey of seeing what could actually be the cause of it. So is it inflammation due to diet? Is it inflammation due to stress? Is it inflammation due to the people around you? So what is it that's really, where is this really coming from? But on the journey to really discovering that, maybe you do have something that helps you. I've been using CBD oil, so it doesn't have that THC.
No THC.
Yeah.
So you're not getting lifted out here.
Exactly. And I've been loving it. Luckily for me, moment in time, I don't have experiences of a lot of pain. So I can't say that it's really helping me with that. But for me, I just take it generally for inflammation. Like
Do
I
you
do
take
have
it orally, or do you rub it like the oil? Because there's like Thorne research and companies like that have a good CBD oil supplement.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many out there now. So I put a little tincture in my coffee.
Okay. Oh, wow. Look
It's
at
really
you.
good. There's like different flavors out there.
Little punch in there.
Yeah, just in my coffee. So it's a little oil too, a little fat. So I do that mostly in my coffees, and every morning. A new company just sent me gummies, so I do have gummies.
That's the
now.
next step. You're gonna get the gummies going. I'm not a big gummy person. I never liked gummies.
I don't think you should be, really, because it has a lot of sugar in it too.
Well, even as a cheap candy, there's like, let's say I wanted a candy or something, I wouldn't go to the gummies. I don't know. They get all in your teeth, and
they do. It's so good though.
I know everybody loves them. I'm the oddball. I always got to be on the other side. I don't like it.
I'm just like. It's just like everything is hard for me because I like gummies, I like chocolate, I like sweets, I like salty. Yeah, so I really got to try.
So you have this compassionate type of, really getting down to the understanding, connection type of vibe with the people that you influence, it seems. Away from business, and all the great things you're doing with that, because I also know, like you said in the beginning, being so prevalent on social media and your work life is it's time consuming. It's a huge responsibility. How do you balance your free time and all of that with what you have to do for your job?
I think it all goes hand in hand sometimes. And I really get to listen to myself too. So the last proponent of what I was going to say real quick was just like the listening portion, because if we're in conversation and you're listening to what I have to say, you're saying you're worth listening to. And the thing that I think we're forgetting the most is you're worth listening to your body, or your body is worth you listening to. It's worth it. And so getting people back into that mentality, like, listen. And some people were like I had someone the other day, well, if I listen to my body, I'm going to eat all the junk. I'm going to eat all the candy because it's telling me I'm hungry for candy. And I'm like, no. That's not the listening portion. So we really get to be discreet about what I'm saying. I'm saying, how do you feel when you eat a bunch of candy?
Exactly.
Are you? Yeah, exactly. So are you like tired? Are you bloated? Do you have stomach pain? Do your teeth hurt? Like, what's happening when you do go into those experiences? And are you listening to your body that way? Because then once you get that, sugar is an addictive thing. So your mind's going to tell you, yes, you want to eat that. But remember how to listen to your body in what you felt after you ate all that stuff. And I think if we really just started to be mindful of how we're actually feeling, what our body's saying to us, we'll be able to drop into the things that we need so much better. So if you're feeling tight, maybe you go to a yoga class. Maybe you do some mobility that's specific for your body. Maybe, or if you're feeling like a little tired or dragged down, maybe you do cardio first thing in the morning and wake yourself up. If you feel heavy after pasta, maybe that's something to address. If you're bloated, maybe it's something in your food. So if we actually took the time to start to listen to what our body was telling us on a regular, we would start to be more mindful of what we're actually putting in it and what we're doing for it. So you can actually create your own plans and not have to because there's no one size fits all, right? It always depends for every person. And then for myself, I get to listen. I get to listen in on how I'm feeling. So earlier today, I was telling you how, I've been sick. I've been traveling so much this month. Literally the month of October, I had one weekend that I was here, and the rest I was just traveling the entire time. So going place to place, and then also
Where'd you go?
Well, I was in Ohio for Lewis's Summit of Greatness, which was super fun. Highly recommend it.
What is that? He's putting it out?
Okay. It's a big conference. Amazing speakers.
Also, is it they're hitting different cities and you show up?
No, it's only in Ohio. One time a year.
Okay, so it's one time a year.
Yeah.
Because you said, you recommended them. How can I get in on this?
Yeah, one time a year.
Oh, man, I missed it.
And you got to go to Ohio because that's where he's from. And so he brings everyone over to his hometown.
So you hit Ohio. Where else did you go?
I hit Ohio and then stayed there for a little bit longer too. And while I was in Ohio and being there for the event and being trying to be just as supportive as a kid, supportive girlfriend. I was also in the middle of launching my challenge and launching into my program and all this other stuff. So I was really getting no sleep that week. So I was doing a lot. And then from there, we went to Illinois and then New York. And then I've been to San Diego a couple times as well with all of that. And so getting back, I've just been, not only has my stomach not been the greatest, like I had one weekend I was here, I like couldn't eat anything because my stomach was just a wreck from eating all the crap in Ohio. And then now I just got back and then I got sick. So I got a cold. I was like, damn it. But that's also my body telling me, hey, slow the F down.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
So that's what I got to do. I got to listen to my body. And this week I didn't do a whole bunch. I didn't get back to a whole bunch of people. And I really just took the time to start to move into my body again, because movement feels the best for me. Really move into my body. And
when you say move into your body, what do you prefer to do? What's your method, your favorite way?
You know, everyone always asks me that. I listen. So whatever my body's telling me that day, that morning, like I listen in. And
so it's fluid.
It's fluid.
Maybe it's cardio, maybe it's
exactly
mobility.
I do like HIIT workouts because they're quick. I feel like I can get a good workout in. I feel like I can like really push it. So I do like getting that in, but I do anything. Like sometimes I'll just do Pilates and mobility. Sometimes I'll do Pilates and sprint. Sometimes I'll just lift. Sometimes I'll go for a run. That's probably my least favorite, but I still do it.
I'm not a huge fan of just repetitive running.
Yeah.
Never was. Played soccer for years. I couldn't fall in love with it.
I know. I've gotten better though. And when you are outside, like, I mean, come on, we live in Southern California. It's freaking gorgeous.
It's tough to, complain out here.
Yeah, exactly. So like going and running down to the Beverly Hills sign and back, it's really not a bad run. So yeah, I just listen to my body and really address like how I'm feeling and what I feel like my body is telling me that I want to move into. And I have a girlfriend that comes down as well, and she works out with me, and that's really nice too because it gives me that accountability. Like, yes, I am a fitness person, I'm a movement person, and also accountability helps me. Having
a friend or something.
And I come up with the workout. It's not like she's doing anything, but just knowing that she's going to show up, like it's accountability for me to get up and go.
No, you're absolutely right. I find that I've learned that as well for myself. I mean, you learn some of these things as a technique, or you learn it mentally, and then you feel like you're okay. You're kind of above it, but then you can get burnt out. I found myself getting burnt out a bit as well, and I was like, man, I got to utilize some of these strategies that I've learned. So I have friends all the time. Like, oh man, I'd love to work out with you, bro. When are you working out? What are you doing today? You working out? You going to the gym? And so I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to the gym. You want to work out? Come on. I'll work you out. And we'll just work out together. You might as well, because it does help having that person there. Just they're looking to you. It's it's tough to push yourself by yourself day after day after day. That's another reason why I learned to respect some of the really great athletes. Yeah. Because when you're younger, you don't really realize, like, of everybody who plays, the ones who really, really, really make it to the levels of the Kobe's and the Floyd Mayweathers, that's what it is that's really doing it. I mean, yeah, it's 100%. Talent, but it's that day after day after day, they're putting in that work. Yep. Even when their life is going bad, when social things are bothering them, personal things.
It's on a whole nother level.
When they're doing really well, and then they're still manifesting that same motivation. Wow, that's really tough to do. Yeah. So utilizing those techniques, I mean, having a team also helps as well. Yeah. That doesn't hurt. But yes, it's something to be respected for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So you've been doing a lot of traveling out there.
Yeah.
What's coming up next for you? Like, what do you have? You said you had a program, a challenge, or something that you're doing?
Yeah, I've been launching challenges all throughout the year, which has been fun to really see people move into their bodies.
How does that work? It's an online challenge? What?
I promote it online, and then people get to sign up for the email, so that because I'm not showing a 1-minute video for how to do things. I really get to talk into things, so it's about at least 10 to 15 minutes, which is really fun. And people get to know me on a deeper level as well, and get to know their bodies on a deeper level. So it's like, usually I do a 5 to 7 day challenge, and they're about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's really just movement. It's movement, breath, everything into the body, and why I think that's so important, and how you can start.
How you can start to start. I like that. And so they're following along for this? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I drop it in the email, and it's They get a link, you know, so that they can go see the full video and everything. And it's been really awesome to hear the responses out of that. And then I do give them the opportunity, like, okay, this was the start. Now, if you want to continue, here's a program that helps you continue and get a little deeper into things.
You got the machine rolling. Look at you, Doc Jen.
No, but it really is
You're one of them now.
You know, I realized as well when I was treating clients and doing Instagram, it was cool. Instagram was growing. And I was like, okay, you know, with algorithms changing, with so many people on here, like my one little 1 minute video that people may or may not see, what is that really doing? How am I really helping? And so that was the reason why I created online programs. And I was like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing or how I'm going to launch or what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it because I feel like there's so much more that people can dive into. And my whole philosophy is really getting into your own body. So when you can assess what's happening within your own body, when you know what you need for your own body and you create a program for you, not for someone else's, that's where it becomes really powerful. And so just allowing people to dive in and really explore that is my passion, and getting people back into the listening.
Tell me something about yourself that you think that people who follow you don't know. What would they be shocked to know? Does Jen have like a vice, a secret vice that she doesn't share, and that Graham's putting you on the spot right now? I want you to share it here. You know, what is there about you, or maybe just an element of yourself that you don't put out there? I know you're a pretty open person. So.
I am pretty open. You know, I think people have kind of, especially if they've seen me grow, if they haven't, it's just like, oh, I'm out there, I'm confident, I'm cool, I'm, you know, doing the whole thing, and I can talk on videos and I can talk on live, and I'm fine. But I was not always. I was so shy, and I've grown up like I'm shy. Like that was kind of like the armor I put on, is that I'm just shy, and that's how like I'm going to stay back. I'm going to stay in the corner. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to do this because I'm shy. And so really taking those steps and taking the tools to get out of that, like even when I had an Instagram and that Instagram started to grow, I was like, whoa, can't show myself anymore.
Wow.
And I like didn't ever post photos that would show my face. I was always in a handstand. I was doing something cool with my body. Look at my body. Don't look at who I am.
Wow.
Because I was so insecure, so scared. So really taking the steps to work on that. And that's been a really cool journey, and something that I will continue to push, because I think everyone deserves to get their voice heard. Everyone deserves to love themselves and to really find acceptance and appreciation for who they are. It's not about looks. It's not about anything like that. And so just freaking loving yourself. And it's not easy. Like it wasn't until my boyfriend pointed it out one morning when I was getting ready in the morning. And as I usually do, I was like, oh, this is fat. Oh, this is awful. Oh, my hair looks so bad. Or just tearing myself down and not looking for validation from someone else. Like whether he was in the room or not, this is how I got ready. And he was like, you know, you're creating a really negative space around you. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? This isn't for you. Like, I don't need to hear anything. This is for me. But it was when he said that it finally clicked for me, of like, oh, I don't want to create negative energy for anyone else. Like,
oh wow, so you didn't realize that, but you thought that was making yourself safe, kind of.
Yeah.
But it was affecting other people negatively.
I didn't realize it was going to affect other people. And then I remember, my mom will still deny this, I remember going to dinner with my parents, and my mom and I go to the restroom, as ladies do together. And she's in the bathroom.
Definitely a thing.
It is a thing. She's in the mirror too, like, oh, this looks awful. Oh, this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm you.
You saw it. Man, we all do that. Don't we all become kind of like the things we see, you see your parents' flaws kind of like, and you're like, damn, I don't like when she does that. And then
I know.
You do it.
But I didn't realize until it had been pointed out about me. And then, of course, it wasn't just my mom. I then saw it from every one of my friends, basically, like just subtly tearing themselves down, not being able to receive compliments, not taking in compliments, not really thinking like I remember Lewis would tell me all the time, you're beautiful. And I'd be like, shut up. No, I'm not. That was my immediate response.
Wow.
Like, stop. Like, you're just biased. Whatever. Not taking it in, not receiving.
You really didn't believe.
No. And I, even if I did, I was just like,
you just didn't.
I thought it was a modest thing to be like, no, shut up. No, I'm not. Like I thought that was the response that you were supposed to give someone. When really, no, you're not receiving. It's like someone giving you a gift and being like, oh, shut up, I don't want that.
And it's literally what it is.
Right,
Yeah.
which you would never do.
Sure.
But why are we conditioned to do that when
That's a good
someone like
question.
tells us a compliment?
I think we're afraid to be, as a people, kind of sometimes afraid to own it, to be confident. You get looked at as conceited or something like that. And so it's like you have to shame yourself to be accepted.
Which is horrible.
Yeah, it's a really bad message, and it's a bad way to. It's bad emotionally. It's bad socially.
Exactly, it gets in our bodies in the wrong way too, and so that was a journey for me. So then I committed at that moment. Okay, I wrote down 3 things I loved about myself every day, and had to write them down. And I committed to my mom and to my friends. If you say anything negative about yourself, I get to catch you and you get to switch that conversation. And if I say anything negative about myself, you get to catch me and I get to change that conversation. And then with Lewis, it was constant practice of saying thank you. Like sometimes it pained me at first to be like, thank you. I guess I'm saying thank you. And so now I can finally be like, thank you. Or my favorite, thanks, I know.
Oh, okay. Turn up, Jen. This is the new Jen right here. I like it.
But it really is like being able to just being full freaking acceptance. Like, oh my God, take that weight off. It would feel so good.
That's a great thing about you as well. Like a great way for you to individualize yourself. I think that you have gone through a lot of these transformations yourself, which always helps you connect better to people, you know? Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. I mean, yeah, you are beautiful. So it's like, wow, why would you? There you go. I was testing you. You passed.
I received.
You passed. But yeah, the fact that I'm sure there's a lot of, younger women, older women, people in general that need that message, and don't understand, you tie that in really well with how you work with their bodies.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, be confident and own your beauty and this and that. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But then understand how that affects you physically.
Yes.
That's probably a really overlooked message.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't even know if I really fully understood that to that degree till you really said it, just like from a beauty to the way your body feels.
To enter your body.
It looks like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
But it's really not. It's really not. And I mean, that goes so deep, like with everything, if we, even just the conversations we have in general, like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this. I mean, what if you change that to, I get to feel like that feels like in your body, like, oh, I get to pick up my kids. I get to pick up the dog crap. I get to because I have a cute little dog,
okay.
and
So it's
gonna poop, so I get to pick it up. Like if we started to reframe the things, like it just feels so much lighter in the body. Like I have to do this, I have to do that. Like you just start like bending over and like. Ugh.
It does sound like that. Like it's a visual representation of I have to.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, and so of course, you're gonna be in pain. Like shit is like.
Yeah, and you probably wind up saying it, like looking like that when you say that without knowing.
Yes, exactly. And I've done this with people, like literally people try this like right now because I've done it with people in like conversation and they literally sit up higher. They sit up differently. And you can even take it a step further. I'm blessed to do this because like I know that's a whole nother level. There's
levels to this.
I like that one. Some people don't like the word blessed. Like, hey, you could be spiritual and still think like
Absolutely.
Universe. Like it doesn't have to be like God, but whatever works for you. And you can say, I'm grateful to do this because I have this, So like really just starting to change our conversations. Like even when I was talking to Amy Purdy, double amputee pro snowboarder, and she focuses on what she does have, not on what she doesn't have. And that's what's gotten her out of bed every single day to work out, to take care of herself, to train, to find new legs that would work so that she could snowboard.
Does she?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
She's pro snowboarder.
Oh, still? I thought maybe she was
no.
and got hurt or something.
Currently. three medals.
Talk about an inspiring story. Jesus.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she's like the sweetest soul ever. So really, really like this is huge. This is everything. If you're in pain, IBS, chronic pain, all these things, like guys, fibromyalgia, let's start focusing on what you're telling yourself on an everyday. Like
stress, both external stress, and
everything.
And your internal conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way to sum up, this conversation and who you are and your message. It's so funny how you kind of become like a thing, everybody, the more you work in a field and there's all these different elements to it, but you wind up being like, you know what, this is something that I think people overlook, and you try to get to them, and that kind of becomes your thing.
Yeah.
And that sounds a little bit like your thing because it's so powerful. You got your challenges coming out. Is there a specific date that it comes out that we should look for?
I might do one in Thanksgiving, kind of round out the year, because I started with one with Grateful for Mobility, and I love it because it gets us back into really what we get to be grateful for, which is everything I've been talking about. So, I might do that one at Thanksgiving again. And if I don't, there'll be one at the New Year to get you back into your body. And I highly recommend getting into it. It'll be on my Instagram, so I'll show it there.
Okay.
Doc Jen Fit.
Doc Jen Fit, in case you forgot. It's DOC.
DOC stands for doctor.
Sounds kind of gangster. DOC Jen Fit. But so everybody, follow Jen if you're not already. Half the world already is. But if you're not, get on it, because as you can tell, she's incredibly knowledgeable.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for all the stuff she has coming out. It's really great to see you again, and I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't want to sound condescending, but I remember you talking about doing all the things you're doing.
I know.
You're doing them.
I mean, hey, I'm proud of you too. Look at what we're sitting here doing. Like,
appreciate it.
4 years after we both we're
made
filming together.
Yeah.
So it's been super cool.
I'm going to practice my technique. Thank you. Appreciate it. Great to see you. And I'm excited to see what you got coming out next. And I definitely may even take some inspiration from some of the things you've said. So thank you, as usual.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll do this again sometime. And next time I want to hear the follow-up.
Yeah.
That I want to hear the follow-up goal about you making somebody cry. I want to hear some men cry on Doc Jen Fit's table. That's what I want to see. All right.
Sounds good.
Awesome.